Give me just a moment and I'm going to go back to screen sharing and we'll get this started and I'll make up some time. All right. So real quick, while I'm getting the screen sharing up, help me out really quick. I want to make sure the chat's working here. I need to know, tell me in the chat, where are you guys at in your capital raising journey? Maybe you're early, just joined a multifamily program. Maybe you haven't done a deal, or maybe you've done a couple deals and you're quickly learned that you need to learn how to raise capital. So let me know in the chat, where are you guys at? Are you early, brand new, been in a program for a while, haven't done a deal, or you've done a deal or two? Can I see that in the chat, please? I want to make sure the chat is working. So if we can get that in the chat, that would be great. Help me out. So we got just starting, just learning. For those of you that are just starting, I see some other people in. So if you guys can comment on, the reason why I asked it is I really want to make sure that what I'm sharing with you today has the impact and is moving you forward. And I want to do my best to save you time and get you unstuck. So we've got, all right, cool. So we got everybody who's just starting to learn here. All right, let me get my screen up and we're going to do a portion of the screen. So hopefully this gets in the right. You should be seeing my screen now. Can I see in the chat? Are you guys sharing? Are you guys seeing my screen now? How to build a capital raising machine that funds your deals in Autopilot? If you can give me a yes. Perfect. Okay. All right. So again, I appreciate you guys sticking around. I apologize for getting the mix up wrong here. Not sure what happened, but we'll do a better job next time. So, all right, here's why this is important, why I want to know where you're at, because I'm going to talk to you a little bit about your capital raising journey, okay? Because we're all on this journey, and whether we know it or not, you're going to hit this roadblock, you're going to hit this obstacle. And let me see if I can make it real simple for you. The biggest limiting factor that's going to hold you back from your ability to hit your goals of going full-time in multifamily, getting into lots of deals, getting into large deals, the single biggest limiting factor is your ability to raise capital. Whether you know it today or not, I guarantee you that is your biggest limiting factor. Well, that's why it's important to pay attention to this, because here's what's going to happen in your journey. If you're new to this, what that means is you are either brand new and you're trying to figure out what program to join, or getting the education for multifamily investing. Maybe you're starting to underwrite some deals. Maybe you're starting to figure out you need some partners on your team. But if you've never done a deal before, it's really exciting to get into that first deal. And I guarantee you can figure out how to do some underwriting. But what's going to happen is you're going to submit an offer, you're going to get a deal under contract, and you're going to be like, now what? How do I come up with millions of dollars to close this deal? So I'm sharing with you what's happened to me. I'm sharing with you the people that I've worked with and were stuck and how we got them unstuck. So I'm sharing with you really important lessons that are this. If you just open yourself up to the idea that probably the single most important skill you can learn when it comes to doing syndications is really your ability to raise capital. Okay. The other thing is you don't want to be dependent on other people. You can do that at first, but you need to build up a track record and you need to be able to raise capital on your own. So I think you've got my point. All right. So let's do this. Let's talk about how to build a capital raising machine that funds your deals in Autopilot. And what I'm going to do, the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to walk through some of the common mistakes people make. Okay. Because I want you to recognize that, because you might already be thinking about these things. I want you to recognize I've been thinking about that, or maybe you've tried it, or I've been thinking about this, or maybe I've tried it. So I'm going to show you some of the things that you're doing wrong, or that you might do wrong. So I'm going to say, don't just go do those. And I'm going to show you how to do it right. Okay. So pay attention, because at the end of this, I'm going to show you how you can really fast track this whole process. All right. So here is capital raising mistake number one. And this is what happens to most people when they get started, whether they realize it or not. And guys, if you've got questions, here's what I want you to do. This is for you. Okay. So if you've got questions, put them in the chat. And as we're going along here, if it makes sense, I will answer that question in this section, or at the end, I'll make sure we block off some time for questions for you. Okay. So here is capital raising mistake number one. Now, I remember I had joined this multifamily mentoring program, and they had a whole bunch of training modules. I think that I was looking the other day, it was 18 training modules, and one of them was dedicated to raising capital. Everything else was about how to underwrite, how to work with a broker, how to get the deal under contract. There's a whole bunch of stuff there. There's only about an hour-long training on raising capital. And even that came with a coach, right? So you pay all this money, tens of thousands of dollars, you get this coach. And my coach, one of the things that my coach had shared with me was go to networking events, show up to these networking events and get some business cards. And if you do that, you're going to be able to raise capital. So that was like, show up, meet people, ask them for money, the end. So the belief at that point was if you find the right deal, the money will come. So here is the pattern that I see happen over and over and over again. So they get into these programs or they get some education, they find a deal, they submit an offer to get it under contract. And like, well, I've networked with some people. I got a deal under contract. I'm going to host a webinar. And what they think is going to happen after they host this webinar is that it's just going to rain money. So if that's you, that's fine. Raise your hand. Let me know. Like, yep, I thought that's all I had to do. Here is the reality. If this is all you've done, you might get a few people that raise their hand and say, yeah, maybe I'd like to invest. But the reality of it is you're probably really going to scramble to raise capital. And then you're going to be in oh shit mode and you're going to say, what do I do? And you're going to start reaching out to other people and you're just going to scramble and scramble. And your hope is going to be that you don't lose all of your hard money that you put into a deal to get it under contract because you can't raise the capital. So let me share with you what happened to me. So I was in this program for a couple of years and went to these networking events and got my business cards and then got a deal under contract, put hard money down on the deal, hosted a webinar. Okay, right. Went to say, hey, all right, well, send the money over. And I had one person of all of the networking I had done, there was actually one person of my potential investors that invested in the deal and they didn't invest a whole lot. So fortunately, my partners, they were able to raise all the money, raise the whole thing within like, I don't know, 48 hours or something like that. But it didn't take very long because they had figured it out, but I hadn't. So, but this is what happened to me. And I was like, oh shit, I suck. And they said, yeah, you do, but it's all right. You can learn it. They didn't tell me exactly what I needed to do, but unfortunately, but this is reality. This is what's going to happen. So if you haven't gotten into your first deal, don't make this mistake. Okay. Don't just assume that you can go get a box of business cards. And then when you got a deal under contract, it's going to rain money. I guarantee you it will not work that way. What I have seen is that these days, because of where the market's at, it's actually been very hard to raise capital. This just does not work. I will also tell you, it's probably about twice a month, somebody reaches out to me that I don't know, and they will tell me this exact story. They will say, hey, I underwrote a deal, submitted an offer, put hard money down, got it under contract, hosted a webinar, and I can't get anybody to invest. How much are you going to lose? 50,000, 70,000, 100,000. And that's not cool. You do not want to make that mistake, okay? This is capital raising mistake number one. This is where most people start. So again, if you've got questions about this, put it in the chat, okay? So then here is the next thing that happens, guys. The next thing is you say, well, you know what I need? I know what's going to solve my problem for me. If I have a website and the website looks pretty and it talks about what I do and how we make money for people, that's going to solve my problem. So generally what will happen is you'll do your first deal. Is an important piece of the puzzle. But what I want to tell you is that building a website alone and thinking that you're going to magically raise capital, you won't be able to raise any capital, and you're like, well, I've got to do something going to break that down. Okay? So you realize you have so Randall, yep, pain point. You're not the only one. So this is very common. Okay, this is a mistake too. So the first thing that happens is you're like, I don't even know I have a problem. The solution, I haven't tried to raise capital. I've been going to the networking events. So how many of you have thought to yourself, you have a problem? The solution to my capital raising problems, some solution to get around this. You're like, well, I'm going to build a website. There's nothing wrong with that. Is an important piece of the puzzle. So I will tell you. What I will tell you is that building a website alone, I know what it's like, and thinking that you're going to magically raise capital, it's probably not going to work out. Spent a bunch of money, got a website, recorded some videos, and I was like, cool, this is going to solve my problems. Guess what happened? The same thing, right? All I had done is build a website, but I don't know if anybody was even going to it. I wasn't building any relationships. I just was like, well, I'll just add a website on here and hopefully things will work. Because they're like, well, if I show up professional online, that's what's going to get people to invest in a deal. So what I'm sharing with you is this is important, but it doesn't work by itself. Building a website, it's also important, but it doesn't work by itself. These two don't work very well if they don't know about each other. So I'm gonna show you how to fix this problem. All right. So this is mistake number 2. All right. So just to recap really quick, when you first start, you don't realize you're gonna have this problem about raising capital. And go talk to people in your communities. Go talk to them and say, hey, how has it been for you lately to raise capital? Probably they're all gonna tell you they've struggled. And you say, well, what have you done? Right. So if you haven't got this far, you're like, well, okay, so you get into a deal, then you realize you have a problem. Then what do? You try to solve for that problem. But the problem there is that you don't even know what to do. I don't even know what to do. So this is where most people generally go, is some type of, well, I got to create an online presence. But then they find out, well, that didn't work very well. So it's like, all right, well, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start putting stuff on social media. I need to build even more of an online presence. So how many of you have gotten to the point where you're like, all right, I'm gonna go to networking events. I know I probably need some type of a website. And while I don't feel comfortable posting stuff on social media, I'm gonna start posting shit out there on social media. And again, it's a very natural
I don't even
thing
know
to
what
do.
to
We were like,
do.
all right, well, the other people are doing it, so I need to start posting stuff on social media. So you're like, well, I've got 3 things going on here. It's gotta be a lot easier for me at this point. So, right, because you realize you have a problem and you're trying to figure out, what do I do to solve my capital raising problem? So again, what I'm going to tell you is, if you just do these things, this does not solve your problem. You might get a little bit better, you might get a little bit more traction, but the problem is it's not very scalable. And here's why. Because you have to spend a lot of time going to networking events. Once you have your website built, I was looking at the comments here from Randall. Once you have your website built, it's cool, but nobody knows about it. If you're just posting stuff out on social media, it's cool, but it's not really like doing much. And so what I'm going to show you next is where everything really starts to come together. And this is where the magic happens. So you, at this point, you have a problem. You're just looking like, what is it I can do to solve my capital raising problem? And this is where most people go. These are very common things to do. You may be looking at other things, but none of those in and of themselves solve the problem. You have to learn the system that has to be followed. The other problem you're going to have here is, takes effort to get in and get people there, takes a lot of time. So you are just eating away at your time. If you're not careful, you're just eating away at your time and you're not seeing any results to actually move the needle forward. Is this resonating with you guys? Can you starting to see either, yeah, I've done that, or, oh, I can see where these are things that I've been thinking about doing and I don't want to make those same mistakes. Maybe running ads.
Now
Maybe
let's
looking at
talk
something
about
else like working with a
how do we
marketing agency.
solve
You might
this
even be thinking about, well,
problem.
maybe I should
And
hire
it's
a actually a
VA.
lot easier than you think. So I'm going to show you what you got to do here. So now we create a funnel. And you may have heard about this, maybe you haven't. So we're going to steal a page out of the marketing playbook, because really all we're doing is, when we're raising capital, we're doing marketing and sales. The problem is, all of these other programs that you're getting into, they don't teach any of that stuff. They're very mechanical in nature. They teach you how to underwrite deals, find deals, submit offers on deals, do the asset management. But I have just seen over and over and over again that there's this big gap on teaching people how to raise capital. And nobody I know is actually saying, well, the secret is you need to figure out how to do a little bit of marketing. And it's actually not that hard. Okay. So I'm going to walk you through these steps right here. So now you will see some things here that you're like, oh, I see when you were just talking about that. And that's true. So, but we're going to look at it from a little bit different lens. All right. So, is our networking events important? Yes, they are. Building an online presence like your website, is that important? Yes, it is. Spending some time on social media, is that important? Yep. Yes, it is. Running paid ads at some point. Is that important? Yes, it is. But what I'm telling you is that these things alone don't solve your problem. There's some steps we need to fill in the middle that solve your problem. Okay. And so what I'm going to show you is the rest of the funnel is we automate that. We're going to automate the rest of the funnel so that you can do these things up here. And then there's automation that does all the nurturing and moves people through the process to then get them warmed up and to invest in your deals. Okay. So let's walk through that, what that looks like. Okay. So very simple. You have what's called top of funnel. The next thing we do is we move to the middle of the funnel. So these things need to, rather than just go straight to a deal, you need to warm people up. So think about that. Whenever you've made a large purchase, did you just meet somebody randomly on the street and hand over $50,000, $100,000, $250,000? Probably not. You've probably heard the expression before, people invest with someone they know, they like, and they trust. So if you're just meeting with people and you're not taking the time to build a relationship, how do they get to know you, like you, and trust you, right? And that is the problem with the three mistakes I showed you before, and this is the solution. We're just going to walk right through this. So now we find these people and we're like, you know what? I'm going to warm you up a little bit. We're going to get to know each other. We're going to date a little bit. Okay. Let's think of it that way. We're going to go on some dates. We're going to hang out a little bit and we're going to decide if we like each other. And if we do, then we'll move forward from that point. All right. So what we do at this point is we find these people, we start warming them up into the middle of the funnel. And we do that by doing some things. Maybe we do recurring webinar, and maybe you pick 2 or 3 topics and you do a recurring webinar. Okay. You can even set these up on autopilot, so they're on demand. You can do these live, or you can do them where they're on demand. I like to do live. I like to get the interaction. I like to learn people. I like to have that experience, but you could totally automate this. Here's another thing you can do is you can actually build an online community. So you can actually create your own community of potential investors or investors and warm them up. So they get to hang out and meet other people, learn from you. You're teaching them things. All right. So you can actually do that. You can also do email nurturing. Now, this one's super easy to automate. And this is where you just send little pieces of information, some education, and you're warming people up. But all of these are really designed to provide some level of education. All right. So you are not limited to just these 3, but the idea here is the middle of the funnel. What you're doing is you're getting people to know and trust you. You're providing education, because think about where your avatar is at. And so if you guys know who your avatar is, can I see it in the chat? I want to put this in perspective for you. So maybe it's corporate professionals, maybe it's doctors, maybe it's lawyers. So who is the person that's most likely you're going to connect with and invest in your deals? Can I see in the chat some examples? Ivan says yes. Ivan, who are the people that you're thinking would invest in your deals? Because I want to put this in perspective about what this middle of funnel would look like. So who are the people? Ralph, Randall, Sherry, and maybe you guys don't know. And if you don't know who your ideal avatar is, we can do a whole other session on that if you would like. So if you guys don't know who your avatar is, or if you're not even that far along yet, show me in the chat. Just type in the word avatar. So Shelly, you're not really sure. Okay, so if you say not really sure, or if you guys say, like, if you put in the chat avatar, we get a couple more people, maybe that's what I'll do for the next webinar, is I will just do a whole training on how to identify your avatar. And I've actually got a really cool custom GPT that'll help walk through that by answering a number of questions, because that's really, really, really important. Okay, so we've got a few people here. Oh, this is fantastic, guys. So what we have to do here is all of our communication, it needs to resonate with someone. And I'll give you an example. If I just start posting on social media, hey, I help people invest in real estate, and if you want to learn more, send me a message. Okay? So I can do that. I can post that on social media. That's kind of what we call randomly posting stuff on social media. Or what I could say, let's use my avatar as an example. So my avatar, I'm going to be very specific here. My avatar is a corporate professional who is in healthcare, a corporate professional who is in healthcare administration, meaning not doctors, not physicians, but they work on the health insurance side. So a corporate professional in healthcare administration, they are director level or above. They have worked in their career for at least 10 years. So All right, we got a whole bunch of people saying that they need help with their avatar. So the reason why I'm giving you that example is I have taken the world and I have said, well, instead of just putting my message out there to everybody, I'm going to say I'm talking to corporate professionals who are in healthcare administration, in insurance, who have worked for 10 years or more and are director level or above. And the reason why I do that is because now I can speak to those people. So imagine this as a different message. Hey, if you're a healthcare administrator and you've been in your job for 10 years or more, you've got a 401k that you're concerned about, is it going to have enough money for you in retirement? Then I can help you figure out how to become a passive investor and make passive income. Now, all of a sudden, that message resonates with someone. So someone's going to be scrolling through social media or going to go on LinkedIn, and what we can do is now I can talk to that person, and that's where your message really starts to resonate. So important here is that even the top of your funnel, this is where your messaging starts, to talk to that avatar. Okay. Then you educate that avatar. So all of your wording is going to be, I'm going to start educating these people, your avatar, and it could be doctors, it could be lawyers. I don't choose lawyers because I don't speak their language. My background is, guess what? My avatar, healthcare administrators in insurance, director level or above, right? And I worked there for 13 years at that particular job, but I worked a couple other jobs before I even did that. So what we're doing is we're providing the education. We're giving them the tools that they need to make the decision, because they might not even realize that they have a problem, or maybe they're at the point where they realize they have a problem. So how can we educate them on this thing we call apartment investing or alternative investments? How can we educate them on that? This is where the magic happens. Okay. This could take 2 days. It could take 2 months. It could take 2 years. That is your job, is to be consistent in providing this education. Okay. All right. Randall says professionals who identify as being in recovery that want to invest in recovery homes. All right, Randall, I like that one. But we'll still do an avatar session because we got some people who could use some help defining their avatar. All right. So we take the top of the funnel. We just make people aware of what we're doing. We get to the middle of the funnel and we start educating them. Okay, so even your social media posts are going to be educational. Your emails are going to be educational. Your online community is going to be educational. Your meetup groups are going to be educational. Your recurring webinars are going to be educational. They're taking someone from cold and you're warming them up. But a lot of this, like I said, you can automate this. Once you build this, there's not a whole lot of work to do this. Email nurturing, you can automate that. All you're doing is education. So you're thinking about, how can I move people here and leverage automation? Then we get to the bottom of the funnel. Somebody's warmed up enough to the point where we're like, hey, would you like to hop on a call and we can talk about some strategies of how we can help you solve this problem? Right? We've been able to identify you got a problem. So then we move someone into the next step. And this is where we're always doing what we have a call to action is, all right, whenever you're ready, let's hop on a call. So we do appointment setting, and we can do that in a one-to-one setting or a one-to-many. I'll explain that in just a moment. And then what we're trying to do is, before we ever have a deal, we want to get a soft commitment or a warm commitment, whatever, however you want to express that. So let's walk through this. The bottom of the funnel is, so you have these recurring webinars as an example. And always you have a call to action that's like, hey, when you're ready, set up a call. So you have a calendar that's available, just sits out there. People fill out the information and boom, it shows up on your calendar. I didn't have to do anything. I just made my calendar available. They took the time, they scheduled, they show up on my calendar. Beautiful automation. Okay. One-to-one or one-to-many. So this is where you can have a one-to-one conversation, or you could do, we're doing right now, a webinar where I can run a webinar and I can talk to multiple people at a time, or I can do a meetup event and I can talk to multiple people at a time. But the idea is you have to have that conversation that says, hey, would you like to invest in a deal at some point in the future? If you're not having that conversation, how do you know how much money you can raise for a deal? Yeah, I'm being quiet on purpose. I want you to think about that. If you like, oh, I have maybe like 20 people that might invest. Cool. My next question to you is, have you had a conversation that actually asked them if they'd like to invest? And you might even say, yeah, actually I have. So here's my next question. This is where most people say no. Then I say, well, have you asked them how much they're going to invest in the next deal? Most people say no. And so that is the game changer for you. That's like really it right there. You have to learn to have this conversation where you're like, hey, if I have a deal and it checks all these boxes, it solves all of your problems, would you like to invest? And if so, how much would you potentially invest? And if you can go through your funnel here, build your automation and get people in here, and you can show up and do these things, and you can get people into these calls, whether it's one to one or one to many, and you can have this conversation. That is the magic moment right there. That is the game changer. Okay. So you have to get to the point where I have 20 investors. They're each going to invest 50,000. I know that I can raise $1 million. I know that. I've had that conversation. That is the difference. That is how you solve the problem. So I'm going to recap really quick. What happens on this journey is you don't even know you have a problem. You don't know. And you're like, I can go find a deal. I can underwrite. If I find the right deal, the money will come. That's what you think. And then what happens is the money doesn't come. And then you realize you have a problem. Then you've got to go find all these solutions. What I'm telling you is there's a lot of things you can do. At the end of the day, all paths will lead you here. I promise you, all paths will lead you here. You need to figure out how to build a funnel and get to this step right here. Because if you do this, everything changes. Let's take a look a little bit more. So people are going to give you the soft commitment like, hey, Steven, yep, I would love to invest 50,000, 100,000, whatever it is. Okay. And it does not end there. You need to do more nurturing. Again, this is where automation just saves you so much time because you're going to do more education. Okay. You're going to send some additional emails to teach these people about what it's going to be like when they invest in your first deal. You're going to teach them some terms. Okay. You're going to maybe share some educational videos with them. Maybe you do some webinars. Maybe these are recorded webinars that you send out in an email campaign. Hey, when you get a moment, watch this webinar. Okay. Your education. And then you talk to them about deals you're underwriting. You're just constantly giving them information. And the upcoming deal, you can actually these days you can use AI and just kind of talk to AI and say, this is what I'm going on. Write me an email really quick. You drop it in your CRM, push it out to everybody, boom. So these things actually don't even take a lot of time, but you keep people warmed up, okay? And so now I want to present a different scenario to you. Because if you've done these things, what's going to happen? You're going to get a deal under contract. You're going to notify investors, which I said you do this here. You're going to host a webinar and you're going to be fully funded. So what my partners were doing early on and what I do now is they were doing that same process. They were building those relationships. They were doing all that nurturing, right? They were running those webinars. They were sending out those emails. So do you see the difference? And I want to see in the chat, can I just get a yes? Do you see the difference between the mistakes that most people make and the people who are successful? There is a big difference because people aren't doing the stuff in the middle. And a lot of times people are like, I don't want to do the stuff in the middle because I don't have the time to do it. I don't have the resources to do it. I don't know how to do it. But what I'm here to tell you is it's actually not that hard. It's actually pretty easy when you have the right tools. And it takes a little bit of time to set up, but once it's set up, it's magic, guys. It's magic because so much of this can be automated. And then you're not spending your time spinning your wheels. You're spending your time on what I like to call money producing activities. Okay, so I want you to say that back into your head. This is a big concept that I had to push through. And I was really good at being busy, thinking I was productive in the world of multifamily. But a lot of it was I was just busy. What I had to learn to do is focus on money producing activities. And so if you take a look back at this funnel, this is the money. Show me the money. These are money producing activities. So you automate everything you can. And then the time that the stuff that's not automated, you focus on those things because those are money producing activities. But if you do these things, you will get to the point where you know very predictably, I know how much money I can raise for my next deal. And then you have confidence to submit an offer on a deal. And then you don't get into a position where you're like, oh shit, I'm going to lose a bunch of money because I can't raise capital. This, guys, I'm telling you, this is how you raise capital. All right. So I got a bunch of yeses, right? You can see the difference here. So let's talk a little bit about what it takes to do that. Okay. And I'm going to be real honest. When I was first starting to do this, I ended up with a lot of different pieces of technology. I made it really complicated for myself, not because I wanted to, it's because I just didn't know any better, right? I was piecing this together. And if you look at all those steps, you can see where, yeah, it might be kind of hard to do this. But who has the time to try to do all of these things? Now, I was doing it. I hired some VAs and we just spent so much time setting these things up, right? So we had to do a CRM. We had to get an email service provider, like Active Campaign or MailChimp. If we wanted to do text messaging mass, we had to use another service. Well, we had to do appointment setting calendar, like landing pages, website. Well, who has time to all day long post stuff on social media? So you look into like a social media scheduler, and then you can automate some of that stuff. Well, the membership thing I was talking about, there's another course for that soft commitment form where I can do this, but like it just gets overwhelming. And so here's what I need you to take away from this. Okay. So what I showed you, the funnel, not complicated. It's really not. What you can do very quickly, if you're not careful, is overcomplicate the process. And that's something that we really struggled with for a while, but there actually is a lot easier way to do this. And if you're not careful, also, you've got to have technology to tie all these things together. So you have Zapier. So real quick, by a show of hands, do you guys have like any of these things set up? Maybe you're using MailChimp, Active Campaign, Calendly. Do you guys have some of these things you're actively using right now? Maybe you've got a funnel. Is there anything you guys are using right now? If not, you can say no. That's fine. I'm just trying to get a better understanding of where you're at. So we can, like I said, again, add value and meet you where you're at. So nope, nope, nope. Okay. So the good news is I'm saving you guys tons of pain point right now. I'm saving you guys a ton of time because what I want to share with you is if you want to set that funnel up and if you want to be in a position where you're going to raise capital for an upcoming deal and you want to have that visibility, you're like, cool, Steven, I know how to do the funnel. And you're like, well, shit, well, how to build a funnel. All right, well, I'm telling you, you could do it this way. There's a lot going on, but I want to make it a whole lot easier for you. And actually what we've done is we've taken all of this and we've got it now into one platform. So you do not have to go get this or this or this or this or this or this or this. So we have actually a single platform. It is, if you guys have ever heard of it before, it's leveraging a platform called Go High Level. But what we've done is we've customized it and made it very specifically for raising capital because we know all the things that need to be done. So real quick, show of hands, would you rather A, go get all of these things separately, or B, have one single system that integrates all of this and brings it together? So if you would rather have the one system, just go ahead and type in the word, right? One system, right? It's nice, right? Why would you want to go do all these other things here? So one system, one system. And that's where like that was a game changer for us. And literally we went and turned off Active Campaign, turn off Calendly. Like there's so many things that just we've been going and like turning off because we don't need to do that anymore. It's really just simplified everything. It brings it all together under one roof. So I want to talk to you a little bit more. I'm going to give you a little bit more education. Is that okay? I'm gonna like really show you the exact steps you need to follow. So not only is building a funnel, but like, okay, well, how do you do those things? So if you're okay with it, can I show you guys, whoops, that was a big zoom. Can I show you guys the capital raising process, the things that you need to build out? All right, I'm going to show you exactly what that looks like. So what that looks like, we talked about at the bottom of the funnel, middle of the funnel, and the top of the funnel. And this is going to be maybe a little bit of a funny concept, but here's what I've learned. If honestly, the right way to build this when you're doing it is you actually want to start at the bottom of the funnel. And you have to think of it like if you're building a house. So in order to build a house, you have to have a foundation laid first. That makes sense? Because I can't go decorate the living room if it's still a dirt lot. I can't go decorate the living room if it's just concrete. I need the framing. I need the drywall. It needs to be painted. So the best thing you can do is you actually think of it like I'm going to build from the ground up. And so that's where we talk about the bottom of the funnel. So here is customer avatar. I do think it all starts there. So I pulled that from the top of the funnel. But what you want to do is you want to think of it this way. So you can start with day one today. You can actually start before you have a whole funnel built. You've already got people in your network. You can actually start with doing some appointment setting, working on a script, and getting that soft commitment. This is when I work with people, this is the fastest way to get people that level of predictability. You focus on this first, okay? Then you're going to get people in and you're like, well, I need to do a little bit of nurturing. So let's send some email automations. And we got this pitch deck here. But then we build up from that point. Then we start working on the middle of the funnel. We come up with our recurring webinar. We do this other thing called a video sales letter, soft commitment pitch deck. We build these other resources. And then when you have this stuff built, your social media stuff, think of it like now you have this capital raising machine and you just drop stuff into the top and it boop, just moves people through and it just gets them to book a call, just moves people through, it just warms them up. So that's why I'm saying is like the funnel is good, but this is actually the process to do it. So here is your roadmap on how to do this. It is literally what you want to do is start here, build these things out. So if you want, take a screenshot, whatever you want to do, these are the things that you're going to want to build out. All right. So what's really cool about this is what we've been able to do is actually solve a lot of these problems for you because now we have it in one single system. And not only that, for anybody that's on the call, if you want to learn more, I'm going to talk about what that would look like here in just a moment. But what we have in our system to just really just cut out all that crap and to save you all of the time and not make those mistakes, the system's going to have all this built in for you. Okay. And so when you move forward, you get the system, a lot of this stuff, it doesn't take you 6 months to do. Some of it happens on day one because it just comes with the system. Some of it, a little bit to be built out, but not a whole lot. So the reality of it is you could go from, I don't have a freaking clue on how to raise capital to within weeks being set up. And like, I've got this whole process. So, and you will save yourself years of figuring this out. So are you guys okay? Can I show you what that would look like? If you guys want to move forward, totally up to you. But if you want to move forward, what that would look like, I can show you what some of those options are and how we can help solve this problem for you and get you plugged in. Are you guys okay with that? Do you mind sharing in the chat? Like, yes, you're good with that. All right, let me, I just always like to ask for permission. I don't want to assume that it's okay, but so we've got a few options here. Let me zoom out just a little bit to make it a little bit easier to see. But so this system, we've actually like worked to make this very, very affordable, very, very attainable for you. Because look, I know if you're part of one of these other programs, you probably spent like tens of thousands. Some of them are like $40,000. I know that I've spent probably that much. I spent almost $100,000 on coaching, probably even more than that, to be honest with you. But I don't know that that's really the right thing to do here. And I think you can get everything you need for a very, very affordable price because that's what you need. You don't need something expensive. What you need are solutions. So let's go through this. Okay. So we have 3 options for you. And I'm going to walk through who this is for. And you can just, say, hey, that's me, or I'm not ready for it yet, or that's where I want to be. But it's actually very affordable. So you have Essentials, Premium, and Elite. And we have these at a very affordable price. You can either do it monthly or annually. And if you do it annually, then you basically save a couple months on that fee. But there is a setup fee, right? Because we are actually going to get in. We're going to help you get some things set up. We want to see you be successful. It just kind of depends on where you're at. So for a small setup fee and then either monthly or annually, you get the whole system. You get the whole entire capital raising stack done. You do not have to go solve this problem because we're here to help you do it. All right. So real quick, who's this for? So I would say Essentials. This is for if you're an aspiring capital raiser who wants a simple plug and play system, want to launch quickly, stay organized. It's just you're brand new. That's a good option for you. Okay. If you want to go a little bit faster, you want some more features, this is going to be for active raisers ready to scale. All right. And you're going to get 2 users in here. And then, so this is, I would say this is for if you're experienced, okay? This is when you're really ready to move fast, you've got some success under your belt and you want to go a lot faster. And then you're going to get up to 6 seats right here. As far as contacts, how many contacts are you going to get allowed in your database? Starting here about 1,000, but if you're just starting, you probably don't have over 1,000, and then you can always upgrade anytime if you want. So you get a CRM with it, the full investor database. You get pipelines. That's how to manage all of those leads through the funnel. We give you some email templates to get you started. There's some basic or some premium, or you get the full template library. We're going to get you plugged in with calendaring, like I said. So you're getting appointment bookings, going to help be automated. Then we give you some automations. Okay. These are going to be some basic automations, get you started. If you want to get some more advanced automations, and there's some really cool advanced automations and start leveraging AI to help you with some of that, then that would be over in this category. We can set you up for texting, which means you can now text people all out of the system. You will get either way, whatever's going to happen, we're going to give you full access to our training library that teaches you how to do all of this, right? Because it's one thing to have the system. It's one thing to know how to use the system, but you still need to learn how to raise capital. So, but we have you covered. We train you how to do all of that, okay? You get your own custom forms, unlimited forms. If you have any questions, you got email support will get you unstuck. The way we like to do it is we send explainer videos back to you. And then in this, if you're basic, what we do is we meet once a week in a school community and we just work through whatever you've got. If we need to stick on a little bit longer, we do that too, but we're helping you out there. Okay. Now, for those of you that want to join either premium or elite, we've got some more features for you. If you're up for premium or elite, we have a twice a week private mastermind community. We give you the ability to do surveys. You can actually host your own website, so you don't have to pay any additional hosting fees. You can purchase your domain right through the application. We have tailored capital raising funnels. We set you up to be able to build landing pages. You can do your social media scheduling in there. You can do your, and we're going to do this for you. This is the text messaging campaign. This will be a little complicated. We'll do that for you. Okay. Now, if you are like, Steven, I want the full package, then there's a couple of other things you get. You get one-on-one Zoom support, okay? We're going to really hold your hand and help you out. You can get rid of DocuSign. You can do email signatures with it. This is where you can host your own internal training platform or your own community. We even have that, and it's all in one system. So we've really done our best to come up with, we want to right fit it for you, and the cost is really exceptional. So this is introductory cost for you guys. And so once again, I appreciate you joining the call. So if this is something that you're interested in, we're going to give you a link. You're just going to set up a call with me. Okay. It's going to be a quick, easy call, not a sales pitch. I really just want to figure out where you're at. And I just want to make sure it's the right fit for you, because if it's not, I'm going to tell you it's not the right fit for you, but I will do my best to give you the right information and point you in the right direction. Okay. And I'm going to give you a real example of that. So there was someone who I had a similar conversation with back in March of this year. And they said, you know what, I'm not ready yet. And I said, cool, not a problem. If you ever want to like connect again, we will do that. And I had a call with them yesterday and they said, I'm ready. So if that's you, that's cool too. But what you want to do is figure out what is the right fit for you and is it really the right time for you? And that's what I want to help you get unstuck with. So what I want to do really quick is if you guys have questions about just the overall funnel or anything, please drop them in the chat. But I'm going to go over to some FAQ, and we've got the link in the chat. Or if you've got your phone out and you're watching this on your computer, you can go ahead and scan this QR code and you're going to go ahead and book a call. So it's a coaching strategy call. So Randall, hop on a call. We can have that conversation. I would love to do that. But so let's, if you guys have questions, any questions you've got when it comes to capital raising, my goal with the community, my goal with these trainings is to really shortcut things for you. And it's up to you. If you guys want to go build your own thing, do it. Like, that's great. If you're a builder, go do it. If you want a community, you want training, you want support, you want a single system, you want people who have done it before you helping you out, that's what we're here for. So let me start going through these questions. Yvonne, yes, this is through Go High Level. So it's built on Go High Level, and we have customized it and tailored it specifically for capital raising. So yes, it is on GHL, if you guys ever heard of that. So we just really fine-tuned it. We give it that capital raising flavor. Okay, there's a lot of things you can do with that system. All right, so let's go through this. What if I've never raised capital before? So here's the thing, guys. You should always be raising capital. And the reality of it is the system's going to walk you through everything, even if you're starting from scratch. Okay. That's what's cool about it. At one point, none of us knew how to raise capital. Nobody did. And so that's what we're doing. It's not, like I said, it's not just the software, it's the training on how to do all this. How is this different from just networking or joining another coaching program? I think you guys have, by now, it's a complete system. Okay. It is everything. I've done a lot of training. I've done, purchased a lot of coaching programs. And this is really like, I've taken the best from everything, and I'm doing everything I can to give it to you guys so that you have all the tools you need. I'm already posting on social media and have a website. Do I need a funnel? Yep, you sure do. And that's where a lot of people like really just, they have the website, but they're not really using it to its full advantage. And what you want to do is we create these things called lead magnets, and we make these available. And then in exchange for a lead magnet, we get somebody's email, maybe we get their phone number. And that's how we start to build relationships with them. So yes, you want to focus on a funnel. I cannot express how important that is. But what if I don't have a deal right now? Well, you should always be raising capital. I mentioned that earlier. Now is the time to do it. Like I said, I have seen time and time again, so many people are struggling to raise capital. Start that today. Do I need a big email list or investor database to start? No, you don't. And I want to put this in perspective for you, okay? Let's say that you have Let's say you only have, Eddie asked, can it help us with the Reg D filing? So this in of itself is not going to help you with the Reg D filing. Okay, so you'll still need to work with an SEC attorney. The cool thing here, though, Eddie, here's what I will say it helps you with from like a liability standpoint. What we do is we structure this so that every person who you're like communicating with, like there is an audit trail. There is, I like to capture like when did you first meet someone, and then that way, when you are doing your capital raising, what this does is it'll establish that pre-existing relationship. So I will tell you, this does not replace cash flow portal. It is not that. This is a really the place where you go and find new leads, warm up new leads, get those soft commitments. You will still need some type of other portal like cash flow portal when you actually have the deal. So do you need a big list of big email list or investor database to start? And the answer is no. And I want to put it in perspective. Let's say that you had only 300 people. And if you guys can stick around a few more minutes, and I'm gonna stick on as long as you guys are hanging out here. So let me see. I will answer all of your questions, but I want to get to some of these. So let's say you only had 300 people. So 300 times 50,000, that's 15 million, guys. That is not a big list at all. And what you want to do, so just 300 people, even if it's 100 people, 100 times 50,000, that's 5 million. Okay. That is not. And then what happens if those people all invest again, another 50,000. Well, now you're at 10 million. So the idea here isn't to get tens of thousands of people and that's how you raise capital. The idea is to establish a relationship with those people, even a small number, and that is how you're really going to raise a lot of capital. How long will it take before I can raise real money with this system? Honestly, like I shared with you, what we do is we start at the bottom first. We teach people how to like have that conversation and get a soft commitment. I've seen people do it in less than a week. They come in and they learn to have that conversation. They just kind of get past that fear and how do I do this within about a week. Some people it takes a little bit longer, but I have the testimonials in here, but we have people who they'll say, hey, I just had a $500,000 commitment from someone. That happened to us a couple weeks ago, right? So, I mean, you just learn to do it and the process works. Is RaiseGenius just software? Is it coaching too? That's what's cool about it is we give you all of it. Okay. So you're going to get the community, you're going to get the software, you're going to get the trainings, and we a couple times a week, depending on the program, you're going to get the coaching that comes along with it as well. Then can I still use this even if I have a capital raising partners or co-GPs? Yeah, absolutely. So you can, depending on the plan, you get multiple seats. It's totally up to you how you want to give people access to this. What kind of support will I get once I get started? So we do give you onboarding. We have live coaching calls. We have tech support and a community of other capital raisers. So there's a lot of resources available to you guys to help you out. Okay. How do I know this will work for me? So if you follow the steps, I guarantee you it works. All right. It's a learnable skill with the right system. And here's what I'm going to do. You guys are still on. You stuck around. So for those of you that are still on, okay, I got your name here. I'll give you a 30-day guarantee. Okay. If you pay for this, you show up, you do the work, and you don't feel it's right fit for you, I'll just give you your money back. Like, I don't have a problem with that. Okay. Like, if I'm doing it right, is to help you be successful. So the worst thing that happens is you spend 30 days, you learn a whole lot, and then you're like, nope, it's not for me, and you're out. So if that's something you want to move forward with, sign up. I'll give you 30 days, right? So you'll pay, show me you did the work. If it's not working out for you, I'll give you your money back. Not a problem. Okay. All right, guys, we are a few minutes over. What if we were part of the NFL? No friends left. I don't know what NFL, you mean like football? I'm not quite sure I understand that question, Ivan. So I get this from people who say, like, I don't know anybody. I don't have any in the community. I don't have any friends left. Oh, NFL, no friends left. So generally people have friends, but somebody told me that the other day, because here's what you want to do is I say, all right, start with 10 people. You've never done this before. You never asked for capital. You need to start with like 10 people. Okay. And there's going to be some family or friends. Now, I don't know how you had the conversations before, but I'm going to help you learn how to structure that. Generally, people can come up with 10 people to have a conversation with. The first thing you're doing is actually not trying to raise capital. You're trying to just get a conversation started. Get yourself comfortable with getting that conversation started. Ask people for feedback. And then, hey, do you know anybody who might be interested in this, even if it's not you, right? And so they give you feedback on your pitch, and then hopefully they'll give you a referral. And so you'll probably be about 50-50 on the referrals. But the system in and of itself and what we teach you especially with using the lead magnets, is you don't have to rely on family and friends. And actually, all of the conversations I have these days with potential investors, they're people I don't know. They're people who are resonating with our message, raising their hands. We invite them into a phone call and they say yes. Like, that's just what happened. And that is the conversations I have now, because like you, there's no friends left. I went through all of them. So where do I go? That's what we help solve. So, all right, guys. Well, again, I appreciate your time. If you think this is a good fit for you or just want to learn a little bit more, go ahead and book a call. Okay. I'm here for you. Book a call. I think I got one spot left today, and then we go into next week. But what we'll do next time, because you guys said you wanted to know more about it, was about the avatar next week. Let's talk about how we can get you moving forward step by step. We'll start with your avatar, and I think it's going to help unlock how do you have those conversations going forward. All right, guys, thank you so much for your time. And I look forward to hopping on a call with you soon and getting you plugged in and solving your capital raising problems before you have them. Wouldn't that be nice? All right, guys, I will talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye.